Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We're ready to start the meeting. David, please call the roll.
Chairman Pate.
Here.
Vice Chair McNabb.
Here.
Commissioner Contreras. Present. Commissioner Mock. Commissioner Martin. Commissioner Moore. Commissioner Waite. Here. Commissioner Maldonado. Present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, David. At this time, I'd like to call today's meeting of the Texas Racing Commission to order. The time is 10:30 a.m. At this time, I'd like to invite our chaplain, Michael Bingaman, to provide today's invocation.
Let's pray. Lord, we come before your throne of grace, not trusting in ourselves, but in your marvelous and gracious love. May we listen to your still small voice as it speaks to us today. Please give wisdom to Judge Pate and the rest of the commissioners as they manage our racing industry. Give assistance to the commission staff as they carry out their tasks. But more than anything, Lord, we pray that when others see us, the first thing they see is you, your fingerprint on our lives, the eyes of your son Jesus in our eyes. In the blood of that son Jesus we pray, and those that agreed said, amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Chaplain Bingaman. Now, if everyone would please rise, we will now recite the pledges of the United States and Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, please be seated. I'd like to now move to agenda item number 4, public comment. Each member of the public who wishes to make comment during the period does not need to identify an agenda item. Rather, you can fill out a card if you haven't done it already and make comments on any topic. Each member of the public will have 5 minutes to speak, and after all comments have been made, the public comment period will be closed, and we will move through the commission's agenda items. David, do we have any individuals signed up for public comment?
Yes, the first is Brian Pettigrew.
All right, Mr. Pettigrew. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Brian Pettigrew. I'm the general manager at Sam Houston Race Park and Retama Park. And before I forget, I have some invitations for you all to attend our Texas Champions Day. We've had some commissioners and the lieutenant governor in the past attend our race day. It's on March 21st, so I will get in trouble if I don't hand these out, so remind me to make sure I get these to you.
Thank you very much.
Since 2023, the Texas Racing Commission has chosen not to permit the thoroughbred racetracks in the state to follow rules enacted by the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority, HISA. Since that time, Texas thoroughbred race meets have been unable to export our signal outside of Texas. It's estimated that those amounts are costing us around $7 million a year annually, which to date is about $23 million. That Texas has lost at our thoroughbred tracks, purse accounts, breeder incentives due to this blackout of our state export simulcasting. A legal conclusion to multiple lawsuits involving the constitutionality of HISA is not likely now for at least another 2 years, causing even more frustration, confusion, and the decline in thoroughbred horse racing product and the brand coming from the state of Texas. Texas owners and breeders are choosing to race in other states with more stability, better purses, and stronger breeding and sales programs. The irony is that a majority of the participants in the Texas thoroughbred racing are already being covered under HISA when they race in other states after our meets conclude at Sam Houston and Lone Star Park. The industry has tried to work together for solutions. Last summer, we spoke with the Texas Racing Commission staff and executive director who encouraged us to talk to HISA After multiple positive discussions with HISA, they were receptive and interested in working with Texas. But on July 1st, we, without warning, received a cease and desist order from the Racing Commission to end our discussions with HISA. We believe there is a path to work with HISA rules and still have the Texas Racing Commission be fully engaged in the direct oversight of thoroughbred racing in the state of Texas. It's a win-win, allowing the industry to regain lost ground and build back important funding to support tracks, horsemen, and breeders. This can be a sustainable bridge until the courts make a final decision on the constitutionality of HISA. We want the entire industry to know we are trying to come to a solution to benefit everyone, and we need the Texas Racing Commission to work with us arriving at that conclusion. The more Texas racing is on the sidelines and out of the national racing consciousness, the more long-term risk and harm it is doing to our racetracks, horsemen, and breeders, harm that is irreparable. It's critical. It is a critical importance to the industry that we resolve this as soon as possible. And I'm also here to, if there are any discussions or comments on the Twin Spires activity. I know there's been a lot of industry concern over that, and it's damaging the tracks. They will take our customers away from the tracks. They won't come to the tracks any longer if they can bet on Twin Spires. And we don't have a relationship with Twin Spires. The horsemen don't have a relationship or agreements in place, and so it is damaging, or it will damage the industry. If you have any comment or questions on that, I'd be glad to answer those.
Okay, well, that's not an agenda item, so
Okay.
we can't do that, but we will have some statements with respect to that correspondence and their legal actions.
Okay, thank you.
All right. David, anybody else?
Tracy Sheffield.
All right. Good morning, Ms. Sheffield.
Good morning. Tracy Sheffield, Executive Director of the Texas Thoroughbred Association. And as always, thank you for the opportunity to address the commission. A major ramification of the lawsuit that TXRC and HISA are involved in was the loss of the export signal. And as outlined by Mr. Pettigrew, it has been economically very damaging to the industry. With the legal ruling on this HISA lawsuit likely years away, it is time to address the signal export situation. We are now in our fourth year of not having the export signal, and every aspect of the industry is being eroded. The loss of handle is negatively impacting the racetracks, purses, and breeders are choosing to move their horses to other states, and the overall revenue from the industry continues to decline. We need the commission to help. The harm to the ATB program due to the loss of the export signal is acutely affecting the Texas thoroughbred industry. Breeding is down. Our accredited program now has one of the weakest reward programs in the country. Our top breeders are moving their mares to other states, and our smaller breeders are choosing to leave their mares open. The lack of export is crushing the thoroughbred breeding industry. We have received the January numbers for the ATB program, and in the collective memory of the TTA office, which stretches back 27 years, the numbers are the smallest they have ever been. Again, we ask the commission to act on this. Other states, particularly Oklahoma, that have similar ongoing litigation have found a solution that worked for their thoroughbred tracks to continue to send their signal. We would ask that the commission allow stakeholders to reopen discussions with HISA in cooperation with the Texas Racing Commission to determine that if an agreement similar to what Oklahoma has done with HISA would be possible here in Texas. The 2026 breeding season now hangs in the balance. Breeding season has begun and mare owners are making their decisions right now. With the export returned promptly, an immediate rebound would occur in Texas with a positive economic impact for both breeding and racing for the state of Texas. I would also like to take a moment to address the Michigan ruling and the response made by Twin Spires. The Twin Spires move does nothing for Texas. It is damaging to the thoroughbred industry, to the tracks, and to the state. While ADW would be advantageous to Texas racing, the Twin Spires format is not the way to go. It is damaging, and it is not supported by the Texas Thoroughbred Association. I am available as a resource witness for the HIEA requests made by the Texas Thoroughbred Association that are on today's agenda. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sheffield. Anybody else, David?
The only other card is Merlinda Fleming as a resource witness.
All right. Public comment period is now closed. Commissioners, I do want to welcome you to today's commission meeting. Since our last meeting, the agency staff has worked with Sam Houston Race Park in the opening of their 2026 meet, as well as undertaking the new legislative requirements of an audit of the agency's rules by the Texas Regulatory Efficiency Office, and an efficiency audit of the agency operations is being conducted by the State Auditor's Office. Now, the Commission's charge, which is ensuring the integrity of pari-mutuel racing and protecting the interest of the public, the horsemen, and the animals themselves, remains as vital as ever. In the last several days, the Commission, in consultation with the offices of the Governor and the Attorney General, has issued a cease and desist order and subpoenas to address illegal wagers in Texas made possible by Churchill Downs Incorporated and affiliated companies. We did receive a response, and that response has likewise been taken up with the Office of the Governor and the Office of the Attorney General. I don't know, but I believe David may have some further comments on that in his interim director's report. We will continue to monitor this situation and keep the industry updated on the agency's efforts. Looking forward, we do look forward to working with all industry stakeholders to ensure the Commission can allocate funds and the agency can continue to administer the Texas Racing Act and the Texas rules of racing in a consistent and fair manner. We will now move forward with today's agenda. Our next agenda item is agenda item 5, the staff reports, beginning with the interim executive director, Mr. Holmes. David?
All right. Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. I am David Holmes, the interim executive director, and I have a report here today just to kind of summarize what we've been working on over the last 2 months since I've entered this role. Over the last 2 months, as I've transitioned into this role of interim executive director, my focus has been straightforward: keeping racing operations steady, address a few time-sensitive industry issues, and start the rule and audit work that is now expected of state agencies. Under racing operations and compliance, much of our day-to-day work in December and early January was focused around the opening of the Sam Houston race season and the inspections that go along with that. That includes licensing, safety and veterinary coordination, testing areas, physical security, facility readiness, plus track surface and track operations. We have had a renewed focus as an agency on digital security at the tracks. I've had conversations with the tracks about expectations and risks, and we've pushed practical steps to bolster the security posture of the tracks through their tote contracts and security testing. We have been coordinating with the industry on a number of items. We've been working with the industry to expedite, where possible, the release of purses following races and have been re-examining processes to ensure efficiency along with a strong capability of auditing. We've also worked with the tracks to streamline and improve the licensing process to help accommodate licensees coming from out of the state and arriving during times when the licensing office is closed. The agency has also been coordinating with the Department of Agriculture, Animal Health, and other agencies and the tracks to be prepared to detect and prevent the spread of the New World screwworm. Regarding the Twin Spires situation, as Chairman Pate mentioned in his opening remarks, over the last week, we have been working with the offices of the Governor and Attorney General to respond to an out-of-state company which began accepting wagers from Texans over the internet. As you know, Texas law tightly restricts how wagering can be accepted from someone in Texas, including by telephone or over the internet, unless it is within the enclosure of a licensed racetrack. Saturday, we issued a cease and desist order to one of the companies involved. We will keep commissioners updated as the progress of the administrative and other legal actions related to this situation continues. On enforcement and disciplinary matters, Deputy General Counsel Diego Olivares will discuss this further in a moment. But as the agency has advanced in its investigative and detection efforts, the volume and complexity of enforcement cases has increased almost exponentially, particularly as related to the relatively small number of bad actors who enter horse racing using prohibited substances and devices. The agency's current combination of stewards, investigators, attorneys, and legal aides represents a highly professional and effective group of employees working to ensure the integrity of racing in Texas. There are two new requirements that the legislature passed on all state agencies in this last legislative session that we have started undertaking as of January 1st. The first is we initiated a structured rules review consistent with direction coming out of the governor's office and the Texas Regulatory Efficiency Office. For the rules audit, the review was directed toward the following factors: rules required by the legislature, rules that wholly or mostly restate state or federal law, outdated or redundant rules, rules the commission no longer has statutory authority to enforce, discretionary rules not specifically directed by the legislature, and rules that incorporate outside standards by reference. We have provided a preliminary report to the TRIO office and are in ongoing communication with them about what rules we may want to amend or eliminate within our large set of rules. In parallel, staff have started drafting edits to the rules we discussed at the last Rules Committee meeting. The second new requirement of the legislature is the State Auditor's Office efficiency audit. The State Auditor's Office has initiated an efficiency audit which will now occur for agencies 2 years prior to going through sunset. Agency staff have been sitting for interviews with the auditor staff, gathering requested materials, and preparing to respond promptly to the auditor's office reviews of agency operations. Some of the auditor staff will be making a visit to upcoming live racing events to see further how the agency operates in the field environment. Finally, internally, I'm just beginning 2 reviews: a review of staff roles and coverage to confirm continuity of core functions and identify any immediate gaps, and a review of key systems and internal procedures that support licensing, inspections, enforcement, and records, focused on practical improvements and continuity. That concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions of you.
Well, I have one question. What's happened to the money we're trying to get back from the Greyhound Association in that lawsuit?
There's some ongoing litigation on that, and so I am happy to update you on the progress of that litigation when we go into executive session today.
All right.
Chairman, thank you, David, for that very comprehensive report. So the enforcement side of the things that are beginning to pop up now that we're very heavily on enforcement and regulating, as we should by statute, is it like double what we used to have? Is it like triple what we used to have? When you say significant increase, do you have a sense of the percentage of increase? First question. Second question is, I know the staff metric has changed from the time I've been 4 years on the commission. We've hired staff. So how much of the hiring has gone to address that increase in terms of the gap in actual enforcement officers doing that work?
Some of what has happened in enforcement predates my time here, and so I only know little bits about it. But I believe that a few years ago, there were very few active investigations at any one time, primarily because of a lack of investigators, and we didn't have a large number of investigators. Now we have an investigative staff, and I think so. It's hard to compare because
maybe Aaron Grigsby could answer that question.
Absolutely. There's a lot. There are just a lot more cases because there's a lot more work being put into detecting and enforcement.
Just looking for a metric. If you can give me like a 50% more, 60% more, 200% more.
Just, I'm going to ask you, Mr. Grigsby, can you help?
I don't know that we're going to have an exact metric but I can follow up with you on that.
I think just to talk some rough numbers off the top of my head, whenever Director Cook came aboard in 2022, and then looking at the 2022 to 2023 season, the investigation numbers in its raw format, what's presented to the stewards and presented to the commission for any kind of analysis, was around the 25 to 40 mark. So in 2024 and 2025, I know the combination of those 2 years, once we had investigators on board and kind of a new investigation direction, if you will, we eclipsed, I think, 476 cases for those 2 years. So you're looking at a difference from roughly increasing from about 35 cases a year to about 235 cases a year.
I think the only other thought is, just as a personnelist, when you go from that dramatic of an increase, is the workforce sufficient for that level of increase? And we don't have to answer that now, but that's a lot. That's like a 400%. I mean, if you do the math, it's huge.
Well, and we are constantly assessing whether we have enough workforce, and that will go into our legislative appropriation request, what that assessment is. One thing, another metric to measure there is not just the number, but the complexity. So instead of catching someone, for instance, doing 1 or 2 violations in a meet, we're catching somebody doing 22 or 30 violations in a meet. And they are coming in with a lot more resources to fight at every step of the way. And so I think Diego, who is coming up next, is going to get to that to get a little deeper on some of the enforcement actions as well. Do you have any more questions before I pass it over to Diego?
Just one follow-on. I think in looking at sort of workload increase, there's really 3 key metrics. There's caseload numbers, there's complexity of caseload, and then there's timeline to closure. Those are the 3 sort of process metrics, and I would just encourage the staff to take a look at that over the course of, whatever timeline would be healthy.
Thank you. Before I pass it over to Diego, I want to take just a moment to say that the agency has a practice of every month naming a employee of the month. Then at the end of the year, naming an employee of the year. Diego Olivares was kind of the unanimous, of all of us who talked about it, was the unanimous decision for the employee of the year. He has really been going above and beyond in working this caseload, the complexity of the cases. And so as you come up here, Diego, I've got just a small token of our appreciation is this mug. So.
Congratulations.
Well, Chairman, Vice Chair, Commissioners, good morning. For the record, my name is Diego Olivares, Deputy General Counsel for the Texas Racing Commission. I wanted to take a few minutes today to provide a brief overview to the agency's current status on enforcement cases and ongoing litigation. At present, the Office of the General Counsel is representing the agency in all disciplinary proceedings before the stewards in which the licensee is represented by counsel, as well as in several proceedings in which the licensee is appearing pro se. As the Commission is aware, these matters often require significant preparation, coordination with investigators and laboratories, and on-the-ground legal support during hearings to ensure that proceedings remain fair and consistent with the Act and the Commission's rules. In addition, the agency currently has 7 contested cases pending before the State Office of Administrative Hearings. In one of those matters, we're expecting the issuance of a proposal for decision in early March. The remaining 6 cases are set for hearings on the merits during the months of March and April. These matters involve different enforcement actions and legal issues and require sustained briefing, witness preparation, and coordination across multiple divisions within the agency, as well as with other state agencies. Beyond SOA, we're also coordinating closely with and providing legal support to the Office of the Attorney General in 3 additional cases currently pending before state courts. In each of those cases, the Commission has made a deliberate decision to provide a detailed brief to the OAG's attorneys outlining the applicable regulatory schemes and the legal arguments supporting the agency's actions. While the Attorney General's office serves as lead counsel, the Commission's legal team remains deeply involved, particularly with respect to subject matter expertise, strategic legal analysis, and record development. In parallel, the Office of the General Counsel continues to handle complex public information requests and support the Commission through ongoing rulemaking procedures, both of which require careful legal analysis, close coordination across divisions, and a strict adherence to statutory requirements. I would also like to note a broader trend we have observed over the past several months. Since approximately September or October of last year, the agency has experienced a steady increase in legal challenges to various enforcement actions. Although those challenges have consistently been resolved in the agency's favor, they have nonetheless resulted in a meaningful increase in overall workload and legal complexity. Each challenge, regardless of the outcome, requires careful attention, thorough preparation, and significant internal coordination to ensure that the Commission's actions are properly defended and that the integrity of the regulatory process is maintained. To be extremely clear, this is not a complaint, but rather a description of the current operating environment and the demands it places on agency staff. The Office of the General Counsel remains fully committed to supporting the Commission, enforcing the Act, and ensuring that all proceedings are handled professionally, fairly, and in accordance with due process. In that regard, I would like to thank the members of the legal team, the stewards, Commission employees, the executive team, and of course the Commission for their continued professionalism, collaboration, and support. Finally, we appreciate any cooperation that participants in the Texas horse racing industry could provide us. Timely compliance, transparency, and the prompt provision of evidence when requested are critical to enabling the agency to do its job effectively. That cooperation can help us protect not only the interest of the Commission, but also the public interest of the people of Texas. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So what other staff do you have besides yourself to work on these?
Chairman, we just hired back in December to Mr. Donald Dixon here. He's the other Deputy General Counsel.
All right. And we're still we're now handling some of these in-house, right? With an in-house hearings examiner.
That's correct, sir.
All right. And is that working out fine? I mean, is it processing cases more efficiently?
I think so, and the position of the agency has been represented and defended in a better way, I would say, overall. And we've been implementing this process from about late September, October last year.
Okay. All right. Any questions? All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. You bet. We will now move on to item 6A, proceedings on rules, discussion, and possible action to adopt 6 rule amendments previously posted for public comment in the Texas Register. David Holmes is going to present this agenda item.
Right. Thank you again, Chairman Pate. The first rule that I will discuss is 309.282, living quarters for licensees. The purpose of this rule amendment is to address feedback from the State Fire Marshal's Office regarding appropriate fire inspection standards. This rule change enables the standards to be updated over time without additional rule changes and aligns our rules with the expectations of the State Fire Marshal's Office, including National Fire Protection Act 150, which specifically addresses the horse industry. We received a few comments and made some small edits to this rule, not drastic enough to have to repost them. It was just a change in one word, and we are ready to move forward on that rule. Is there a much of a financial commitment on behalf of the tracks with respect to that compliance with that rule? We've done some research on that, and Aaron and I were talking just this morning about how this Fire Protection Act 150 actually allows for some retroactivity so that the track should not have that was some concern of would there be a lot of financial burden on the tracks, but it looks like there is some built-in ability for there to be some retroactive standards there. And I think this change really helps us work with the fire marshal's office it's not always a cut and dry, black and white situation. A lot of times in my understanding of conversations we've had with the fire marshal's office, it's a period of time we're looking at, not a moment, and it gives us the opportunity to fix up some of the problems. The next rule that I will discuss is 311.104 on trainers. The proposal removes obsolete references to greyhounds and racing judges where appropriate, deletes a section allowing trainers without a license to enter a horse under some circumstances, and requires that a deceased horse may not be removed from the grounds until cleared by the commission vet. Rule 311.109, mutual employees. This amendment is intended to support the integrity in parimutuel operations by ensuring that applications for a mutual license provide standardized background information for review by the executive director or designee. 321.37, cash tickets and vouchers. The Commission's existing rules reference physical storage of tickets and vouchers. As wagering systems and audit records move to digital formats, the rule text is being updated to require secure procedures for accessing and maintaining digitally stored files and to clarify access limitations. These changes support integrity of parimutuel wagering operations and modern auditing practices. The next two rules go right along with the change in that one. 321.39, altering cash tickets and cash vouchers. This section required physical alteration of cash tickets or refunded mutual tickets of cashed vouchers to indicate their status without destroying identity. With contemporary digital records and scanning practices addressed in the previous rule, separate alteration requirements are not necessary if the records are kept digitally. And then 321.101, totalisator requirements and operating environment. The proposal updates the reference to Association of Racing Commissioners International technical standards to the version amended in December of 2020 and prospectively to subsequent amendments, and removes obsolete mailing address references where standards are available. These changes align with the rules, the current industry standards and commission practice. Do you have any additional questions on these set of rules?
Okay, so these rules have all been published in the Texas Register. Staff's recommendation adoption of all the proposed rule amendments. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any other questions? All right. There's no further discussion. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve and adopt proposed rule amendments 1 through 6 as listed on the agenda to the Texas Register.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by McNabb, seconded by Contreras. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, we'll move to item 8A. Discussion and possible action to allocate funds in the horse industry account to the state horse breed registries for events to further the horse industry under 16 TAC 303.321 for the Texas Paint Horse Breeders Association, the Texas Arabian Breeders Association, the Texas Quarter Horse Association, and the Texas Thoroughbred Association. Mr. Lawrence will now present this item. Gerald, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Gerald Lawrence, Chief of Staff, Texas Racing Commission. We have a few to go over. If you go to the next slide. So these have been staffed by our grant staff. So all petitioned for approval and recommended for approval, but the first two are with the Paint Horse Breeder Association, the Cowgirl Gathering in Fort Worth, and the World Championship Show in Fort Worth. They both are recommended for approval by the commissioners. Any questions on these two?
Now, with respect to all that we're looking at, staff has reviewed them for compliance with our rules. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you would be recommending the adoption of all these. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That
All
way
right.
they can go on the condition books.
All right. So let's go ahead and just go through all of them. Then we'll
Okay.
take it up in one
Go ahead,
motion.
next slide.
Or
So here it is with the Quarter Horse Association, a couple of events also that are above the $50,000 threshold to be approved by the executive director level for the commissioners. Go ahead, next one.
are all of these repeat events?
They are. They're for the last few years. They've been repeat events. They've been previously approved over the past several years since HIA came upon as a first supplement and event supplement.
Okay. Thanks.
And then the Thoroughbreds have a couple of screens of theirs. For record, the Arabian Horse Breeder Association didn't have anything for approval this time, but the Thoroughbreds do. So there's this course for the.
I'm sorry, Gerald. I can't
Hear
understand.
you, Gerald.
Yeah.
I don't know what's the mic or what, but is the
about
mic
now?
turned on?
Is it on? How about now?
Yes.
Okay. The next two slides are for the Thoroughbred Association to cover Lone Star and Sam Houston meet. That way the condition book can be met. And all these, of course, have been staffed as well by our grant staff or HIA. Go ahead, next one. There's a second slide. There. The only caveat to that is there is a new one with these here. The Good Old Boy series is something that's new that hasn't been done before. That's incorporating some race and purse supplements to bring about some older horses to get back in the fold, to get back on the track.
Oh, the one that caught my eye was a Mary Rule Stake.
That one too.
Okay.
So Tracy's here if you need as a resource to ask any questions on these on this page.
What define working class horse?
Tracy. I think it's a verbiage thing there, but that's the horses that are trying to get them back to the tracks. If I'm
I
not
mean,
mistaken.
I've qualified as a working
So-
class person, but I just want to know what working class
Okay.
horse is.
I'm wearing a blue collar today for a reason. These are our blue collar horses. These are the ones that have never shown quite the ability to make it to the stakes level or the upper levels of allowance class racing. But these are the horses that fill our day races. You can't
Career claimers.
Yeah, career claimers is what these are for. And we decided to make this our working class series, and it's a series of 3 races at each track. So it gives these horses more opportunities to enter.
That's right. Thank you.
Does that complete your presentation?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are there any further questions? All right. If there's no further discussion, the chair will now entertain a motion on staff's recommendation to approve the funding request for the breed industries as outlined.
So move.
The motion made by Commissioner McNabb
Second.
and seconded by Commissioner Contreras. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. I think we're going to take up the agenda item 7 after an executive session. I think we're required to discuss certain matters in executive session that are affected by that particular item. So we're going to adjourn to executive session at this time.
And commissioners, we're going to do it in a different room than right here this time. So if y'all will just come out with me this way, we'll take you to that room.
All right. It's now 11:09 a.m. The time is now 11:52. We're going to take up then item number 7 on our agenda with respect to the discussion and possible action to approve the renewal of the totalizator system agreement between Global Tote USA LLC and Global Gaming LSP on behalf of Lone Star Park and in accordance with 16 Texas Administrative Code 309-162. This has been presented as it's supposed to be or must be in confidence. Is there any discussion, commissioners? If there's no further discussion, the chair will now entertain a motion to approve the renewal of the I have a hard time pronouncing that, totalizator system agreement between Global Tote and Global Gaming on behalf of Lone Star Park under 16 TAC 309-162 through December 2036 as amended and presented to us. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner McNabb. Is there a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Contreras. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The next agenda item is scheduling of the next commission meeting. The next meeting is for Wednesday, April 8th in the George H.W. Bush Building, 4th floor boardroom in Austin, Texas. The time is now 11:54 a.m. With all business concluded, we are now adjourned. Thank you very much.